Hi guys, welcome back to another video. So I'm on the training pitch about to get a full individual training session in. So I thought I'd share it with you guys, show all the drills that I do. I know I do get a lot of questions asking me about my individual sessions. How do I structure them? Do I focus on one specific thing like shooting or dribbling, or do I involve multiple areas? And me personally, I like to involve multiple areas because I think that's a better reflection of the game of football. In the game of football, you're involving all areas, aren't you? So you're passing, you're shooting, you're dribbling, you're changing direction without the ball. So I try and involve a lot of different areas in my sessions just so I'm better prepared for matches. About 90 degrees, so I've definitely got a full water bottle today. Going to be taking some breaks to make sure I'm staying hydrated. I'll do a voiceover for each of the drills, just explaining what's going on, what I'm working on. But we've got this little bee friend here. Clearly he wants to ping the ball around as well, so I'm going to get warmed up and then we'll get into the session. Also wanted to mention I'm going to track my session today just to give you guys a little bit of data in terms of how long I train for, maybe some of the intensities that I reach in terms of my heart rate. So this watch is going to tell me all that. So I'm just going to start the session and let's get into the warm-up. So I'm just going to lead you through my training session. As always, I begin with a warm-up. So for about 10 to 15 minutes or so, I make sure I get a good dynamic warm-up, jogging backwards and forwards, changing up the angle so I go side to side, diagonally, backwards, and then I get a lot of dynamic stretches. And what I mean by dynamic is on the move. You don't want to be doing static stretches at the beginning of your sessions. You want to be getting your body warm. So trying to replicate some of the movements you might encounter during a session just at a lower intensity. Gets the body prepared, gets everything activated, so you're a lot less likely to get any muscle strains or pulls or any other types of injuries. So just back and forth, really making sure we're focusing on the lower body, especially getting the groin, the glutes, the hamstrings, the quads, everything activated, warm and ready to go. This is also going to help you increase your performance in your session as well. Then I always go into some activation, so just using this resistance band, making sure I'm getting those hard to activate areas, especially in the glutes, in the groins, because these are the most vulnerable areas for footballers. Most injuries occur in these areas of the body, so just making sure they're activated so that they can meet the demands of more explosive exercises without being susceptible to injury. So all in all, about 10 to 15 minutes for the warm-up. Then I go into my technical work, so just absolute basics, making sure I'm getting my touch clean, so passing off the wall, starting with 2 touch, using my right foot only, 1 touch to receive it, and then play it back with my next touch. Then I go on the left foot too, so we're trying to get an equal amount of reps on both feet, making sure they're nice and sharp, trying to identify any weaknesses in your first touch or your passing technique. Then as you can see, I'm just taking my touch slightly across my body, so controlling it with 1 foot and then passing it with the opposite foot. And for each of these exercises, I'm going for about 30 seconds to a minute. Then I went into some 1-touch passing as well, just making sure I'm taking the ball first time. If there's a little bounce in the ball, I'm trying to take that out of it with my next touch. And then making sure I'm getting an equal amount of reps with my right and left foot. Really punching it into that wall, getting a good, clean, solid connection. Then as you can see here, little open up touch. So using my back foot, so my foot furthest away from the ball, just pushing it in the direction I want to go. And then as you can see here, just little turns, so a little check over my shoulder as well. It's good to get into this habit. Quick scan, see what's behind you, see if it's safe to turn, and then take the ball with your first touch on the turn. It's a more efficient way to turn with the ball so you can make your next move. But I just work on these for about 10 minutes or so just to get those basics polished up. You always want to make sure they're nice and sharp because the majority of the game is just passing and receiving. You can never get too good at them. And then finally, just working on some ball strikes with both feet. So as you can see, just taking my touch out my feet, driving out of the ball with some backspin, so some lofted passes, maybe some driven passes, some half volleys, just working on a few different striking techniques. So I work with the right foot to begin with. So for this exercise, I just did around 15 to 20 repetitions or so with my right foot, just focusing on a clean, solid connection with each strike. And then I did the same thing with my left foot, getting a balance on both sides. And again, just responding and adapting to the ball however it rebounds off the wall. So if it's on the bounce, I'm going to work on my half volleys. If I can get the touch out of my feet, I'll do so. But just varying up the technique, trying to make sure I'm confident in a variety of techniques with my right and left foot. It's just going to serve me a lot better in a match if I can strike the ball confidently with both feet. So the entire technical portion lasted around 10 to 15 minutes or so, and that was a great way to get my touch sorted, my ball striking sorted, ready to go ahead with my drills. Then I went into a little fast feet exercise combined with a ball mastery activity, just to get myself a little bit warmer, a little bit more activated, and also get some dribbling in there as well. So all I'm doing is going through the ladder with 2 feet as quickly as possible, just driving the arms, getting a bit of coordination, and then using both feet to manipulate the ball through the cones with tight control. So a little bit of ball masher using the inside and outside of both feet, weaving in between, and then just passing the ball down the side of the ladder, meeting it at the opposite side after making my way through the ladder. So for this exercise, I did 6 repetitions in total, rested for a minute or so, and then repeated this one twice. And I was fully warm, ready to get into the main portion of my session. So for this part of my session, I set up a few different obstacle courses that involve a few different areas. So I'm just passing the ball off the wall, weaving in and out of these cones, dribbling around, and then doing a little bit of off the ball movement. So a little bit of agility without the ball, and then finishing into the net. It's more of a passing technique to begin with, just working on finding that small goal with accuracy. So I'm just dribbling through, as you can see, around that cone, push the ball to the outside around the cones without the ball, rebound off that bench there, and then find the back of the net. So I did repetitions of 2, so 2 in a row, then I'd rest for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then repeat this one 3 sets. So 2 repetitions per set, so 6 reps in total. So for this drill, obviously I'm using a few different items that I've found at the pitch. So I've got the small goal, I've got the cones, and I'm using that bench flipped on its side, and then I've also got the wall. I'm not saying you have to do this exact drill, but what I will say is try and be creative with what you have available to you. So the next time you're at the training pitch, have a look around and see what resources you have available. Try and be creative, think outside the box. Do you have a wall available? Do you have a bin or something else to rebound the ball off to make your sessions a little bit more match specific and a little bit more intense? So as you can see here, moving into another variation. So same setup at the beginning, this time playing the ball in the air, so having to work on my aerial control, weaving in and out of the cones once again. But this time I've set up the bench to play a 1-2 with. So as you can see, I play the ball down one side of the cone, it rebounds off the bench on the opposite side, and then I've got to get the first touch down or out of my feet, and then play the pass into the small goal. So a few different variations here, trying to create actual scenarios that you might encounter during a game, so that when it does come to the match, you feel like it's second nature. You've done these so many times in your sessions that they're natural and executed efficiently. Then I went into a final variation, so once again playing the ball off the wall in the air. Now I'm doing a diagonal dribble, so working on my turns with the ball, and then I'm dribbling at the cone, 1v1 move, and then finishing into the goal. As you can see, I'm striking the ball a little bit more now, so using the laces. Just trying to find the back of the net with power and a nice clean solid connection on the ball. And once again dribbling back and starting again, doing these in sets of 2. So I'll go through this one twice, rest for about a minute or so, then I repeat this one 3 times through, so I do 6 repetitions in total. Working on a few different moves, some that exit to the right hand side so I can strike it with my right foot, and also working on a few that exit to the left side so that I can also work on my left foot as well. Again, just trying to find the back of the net, so rolling it in there, trying to be accurate and precise with my finishing, even after my legs are fatigued after going through the course. I think it's really important to add a final product into your training sessions that you have to perform on tired legs, because very rarely in a game you're going to get a chance to shoot or pass the ball with fresh legs. It's usually always off the back of a dribble or off a run where your legs are fatigued, and it's a lot harder to perform the technique. You have to be more disciplined, more focused, so try and replicate that in your training sessions so that it becomes second nature during a match. Again, through each repetition, trying to be focused, even with the ball control around the cones, and then once I get to the final cone, I'm dribbling straight at the cone, acting like it's a defender, trying to make sure it's as match specific as I possibly can make it. Obviously there's only a certain amount of training you can do to replicate the game by yourself, but try and make the best of what you have. And then I finished the session with a fitness activity. So I've marked out these 4 cones here about 15 steps from each other to form a square, and then the first lap I'm jogging around about 50%, going all the way around and back to that starting cone. As I get back to the starting cone, I sprint one side and then I'm recovering for 3 back at that 50% pace. Then as you'll see, it gets increasingly more difficult with each repetition. So for this next lap, I'm going to sprint 2 sides and then recover for 2 sides. Then the next lap, I'm going to sprint for 3 sides and recover 1 side. And then the final lap, I'm going to sprint all 4 sides. So as the drill goes on, the recovery gets shorter and the workload gets longer. So this is a great reflection of the game of football. Sometimes you're going to be sprinting over short distance, sometimes long distance. Sometimes you're going to be going back down to a jog. You're always going to be switching gears. So it's great to reflect this in your fitness drills as well. So then I rest for about 2 to 3 minutes after this one, and then I do the exact same drill in the opposite direction. Then the very last thing I'll do at the end of my training session is some static stretches. So at the beginning of the session we did dynamic stretches, which is on the move, getting the body warm and prepared for the session. At the end we want to hold the stretches and ease deeper into them. So I'm holding each of these for about 20 to 30 seconds, getting deeper into the stretch as we go along, but I'm trying to tackle all the different areas of the body, lengthening out those muscle fibers, because after exercise they can get quite tight, and I'm sure you've all experienced this. The very next day you feel very stiff and sore. If you do these stretches, it's going to minimize that effect, so you can train effectively the next day and also help you minimize the risk of injury. So as you can see, going through a bunch of different poses, holding for 20 to 30 seconds, getting a full body stretch. Even at the end of an intense training session, I know stretching is the last thing you feel like doing, but it's so important for your recovery. So I'm just going to stop it there. So recording ending, saving. Total training time was 1 hour and 49 minutes. So my heart rate average was 134 beats per minute, my max 176, so we got it up there at the end. So we're definitely getting a lot of work in here today, obviously a lot of technical work, getting those fundamentals nice and sharp, so you're passing, you're receiving, you're shooting, and you're dribbling. And we've got a little bit of agility work around the cones, and then we got some fitness there at the end as well. So that's pretty much what a full training session looks like for me. Obviously I don't do the same drills every single session, I switch them up. And if you need ideas for your own individual sessions, I've got loads on my Instagram, so I'll put the link to it on the screen or in the description box below, so you can go over to there. I put drills out every single week, and obviously the YouTube channel just has hundreds and hundreds of ideas for you to take away and do in your sessions as well. So that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed a little behind the scenes of what a typical training session looks like for me. Make sure you smash the like button, hit that subscribe button for weekly training videos, and I will see you guys in my next video.